Hey, do you want to know something about GTA 5? This map is considered to be the most boring out of all games, for multiple good reasons. One of the biggest reasons people don't really like GTA 5's map is due to the lack of interiors. In GTA 4, players can enter apartments, complexes, random stairwells, restaurants, laundromats, and in San Andreas, when I first played it a couple years ago, I was pretty surprised. Yeah, I was pretty surprised by GTA San Andreas' map. Restaurants on every single corner, gyms, police stations, betting buildings, casinos, apartments, or even other people's houses, bars, clubs. It felt like almost everywhere was actually accessible, and GTA 5 does have a decent number of interiors in its main story, but as previously mentioned, during free roam, there's almost nowhere to go. So, I decided to change that. One of the biggest and most requested features of GTA 6 is for every single interior to be accessible, which obviously was a joke, but it does come from a place of actually wanting more interiors and places to explore and to do stuff in. So, using ScripticVive and ScripticV.net, I was able to program a mod that makes almost every single building enterable. These interiors range from simple locations that you can enter, with NPCs being spawned inside too, to restaurants with fully functioning eating systems, apartments you can relax and sleep in and enjoy mundane activities, and bars you can actually drink inside of, and much more. Due to the sheer amount of interiors, I've decided to make this into an iceberg. Entries at the top are the more mundane and obvious interiors that I've added to the mod, but the further down we go, the more intriguing and unique do the interiors become. And I've also wanted to mention one more thing. This mod is available to be downloaded over at 5mods.com if you're interested. I am a modder who makes scripts, so be sure to follow if you're interested. Let's get in to the iceberg. Fast food restaurants. Whilst working on this mod, it did come to my attention that there aren't actually that many fast food restaurants scattered across the map. There are almost no fast food restaurant buildings that are even observable from the outside. Cluckin Bell is actually entirely missing from GTA 5, which I did not even know until I started working on this video. You can only find one Cluckin Bell restaurant called The Coop, some small tiny drive-thru in Strawberry. Other than that, there's also one Burgershot, and a couple of other restaurants that vaguely resemble some other fast food franchises. Regardless, these are the buildings that I had to work with. Before I continue this entry, I programmed a simple script that takes my player's coordinate and heading once I press a certain button, and copies and pastes the interior entry code with my player's coordinates and heading, meaning that making a building enterable only takes a few seconds, surprisingly. But back to the entry. First off is this Burgershot, which is somehow the only Burgershot in GTA 5. Something I didn't notice until I started working on this video. I went up to the door, turned around and made sure I'm facing away from the doors and pressed the button to log my coordinates and heading. And next, I started working on the interior. This interior will be reused for every single fast food restaurant, since it would take a really long time to make one for each one of the fast food chains. Burgershot, Cluckin Bell, Biscops, Up and Atom, Wigwam, etc. I made the interior heavily inspired by the ordinary Burgershot from GTA 4, except it's a little bit more modernized. You have these seats with these dividers in between them, like in GTA 4, and these chairs and tables at the front. You also got a service desk, or whatever you call it, but keep in mind that I'm not just making interiors here. I also want the player to be able to interact with the interiors as well. When the player approaches the front desk, I've programmed a prompt to trigger, which when activated, puts the player into a menu where they can select what to buy, whether that be hamburger, fries, chicken, coffee, or some soda. Or a combo pack even, just like in GTA San Andreas. I've also programmed the player and the camera to be animated, which enhances the immersion. You can also choose if it's takeout, or if you want to eat inside at one of the tables. Something that you actually can't do in the other GTA games. But I prefer to drink my coffee and eat my burger on the go, whilst causing havoc on the streets of Los Santos. You can take as many bites as you want, or sips if you ordered a drinkable. It's up to you to discard it whenever you're done. But we're not done with the fast food chains just yet. If you want, you can rob the place too. Just aim your gun at the cashier, or kill him, and take the stuff from the register. I've also programmed police to spawn, so you can have an all-out brawl. And that covers the fast food restaurants. From what I've been able to gather, I've made every single fast food restaurant accessible. I might have missed maybe 2 or 4, but in total, That's about 10 interiors so far. I mentioned before that the fast food chains are actually kind of limited in GTA 5, but don't worry, we're just getting started. This number over here is going to be more than 8 times as large by the end of the video. And that was interior 1 of 12. On to the next. Diners. One of the most well-known and enjoyed interiors from the GTA series. Players' first safe house in GTA 4 is located right next to a small little diner, which makes most players well-oriented with them, even though there are only 3 in the entire game. Again, I had to make the interior based off of the one from GTA 4, and every single thing that I mentioned about the fast food chains applies to them too. You can order a sandwich, a coffee, some soda, sit down with the food, or do takeout. You can also rob it, just like before. But one thing is a little bit different. Since the diners aren't particular brands, it means I can actually add more of them. I've added plenty in Los Santos, but of course you can find them in Sandy Shores, Blaine County, and Paleto Bay. And that goes for all of the interiors, by the way. In total, I've added 19 diners. So far, 29 interiors. This one was a little bit short, but the next one will be a little bit more interesting. As advised to me by the Attention Retention Foundation, I should talk about the hospitals next, easily one of the most famous interiors from the GTA series, again, from the 4th game. Even though you can't actually enter hospitals in GTA 5, did you know that the game actually has an interior for the hospitals? It's used in a particular side mission where Trevor rams his car through the building. So my plan is pretty simple. Use this interior, modify it a little bit in my code, and apply it to every hospital in GTA 5. That would be 9. Okay, so I got to work. I loaded the interior using my script. All I had to do was find its IPL name, which was RC12B_hospital interior, and request it using the request IPL native function left for me. It stands for interior prop loader. But after loading the hospital interior, it turns out it's completely wrecked. I did some research thinking that maybe I could load a cleaner version of the hospital, but it turns out that this is the only one that's in the game. So I had to use a tool called CodeWalker to export the interior and the interior props individually to an XML format. Put it in Blender and simply move all the wrecked junk under the map. And also edit the collision.ybn file and do the same for it too. After about an hour or two just doing that, the interior was fixed. I've also scripted my own parts to be loaded as well, like this curved wall, these doors, and these chairs. There's also these fallen chairs around the area, so I had to use my script to find them in the world and get rid of them. And this was the result. And there we go. I'm done. I did it. I made the hospitals. Excuse me. I was originally planning on maybe making the hospitals somehow interactable, but I didn't really know how. Hospitals only serve one purpose: to walk around and have fun. Don't be silly. I won't be pulling a Nico Bellic anytime soon. And after that XOF roleplay, I can safely say that's another 9 interiors. On to the next one. Bars. In GTA San Andreas and 4, there were some bars, but not in GTA 4 and 5. Well, except one, but you would not visit it to drink. However, even though GTA 5 barely has any interiors accessible in the open world, did you know there are a ton of locations unused in the game files? There's this comedy club, for example, this Tequila La interior that you briefly see in a single cutscene in GTA Online was also eventually reused for the Contract DLC as well. Well, I'm reusing it too. I've also added 2 variations to the bar. One where you enter from this door, and the other one where you enter from this one. You can go up to the bartender and order a drink. In total, I've added 10 bars across the map. I made this entry a little bit shorter as it's a bit less interesting, so that we can talk about the next entry a little bit quicker, which is much more interesting. Laundromats. Did you know that there were laundromats inside of GTA 4? They're not actually marked on the map, even though they have gameplay elements attached to them, as you can actually go inside and rob them, going with a theme of small-time crime. Clearly, their main function was to be robbed. So I've made my own laundromat interior in my code, added some NPCs to be spawned around, and just like the other interiors, I've added a cash register that you can rob. But there is one problem. This interior isn't really all that special, huh? It doesn't stand out from the other interiors since you can rob them too. So, to fix this, I've added a secret gang that operates and launders money in the back. But to get in, you've got to pick the lock. Along with animations, I've programmed a pick locking minigame, which randomizes which inputs you've got to press on the keyboard or controller. Once you're done with the door and it's unlocked, take out the bad guys. One of the washing machines in the back will have money inside of it. Around 2 years ago, Rockstar Games released the Cluckin Bell Farm Raid DLC. Why I'm talking about this? Well, you'll find out in just a second. In the first prep of the DLC, Slush Fund, you need to acquire some cash to quickstart the Cluckin Bell Farm Raid operation. The cash itself, located inside of a washing machine. Rockstar Games created new animations in a minigame where the player steals money from the washing machine. So, I was able to use those animations and recreate the washing machine looting minigame from GTA Online in my code. You can do this at every single laundromat that's on the map. Another 9 in total.
Bite.
The hell is Bite? Well, it's GTA's version of Subway. Like the fast food chain. I didn't group it in with the fast food category since it would not really count as fast food, but technically it is. I don't know. I think I only had Subway like once in my life, so I don't really know what else they got there apart from sandwiches. Well, either way, this is also a pretty short entry, not much to talk about. I made the interior somewhat inspired by how Subway stores look in real life, and it works just like the diners and fast food places, except you've only got sandwiches, coffee, and soda. I need some water, and that's another 7 interiors. Restaurants. For this interior, I've decided to use a certain location that's often forgotten about from GTA Online. In 2018, Rockstar launched probably the worst DLC in GTA Online's lifespan, Arena War, which added some weird-ass vehicles in a weird-ass Rocket League-ass game mode, which nobody played because it's GTA Online, where people don't really want that kind of stuff. In the DLC, you actually can be a spectator of these game modes, and admittedly, Rockstar made being a spectator be kinda cool, as they would put you in this cool VIP lounge, specifically created for and forever locked in Arena Wars. Well, this part of the place looks kind of fancy, so using my script, I've loaded the interior using its IPL, xs_arena_interior_VIP, and edited the interior in my script to look a little bit more better, like a restaurant. But there was a pretty large problem that I was having. I noticed that if I shot my gun, there would be no noise. This is likely because Rockstar Games made sure the explosions from the Arena War minigame were muted whilst in the VIP lounge. I knew that I had to disable this. I did some testing in my code and found out that this could be something called an ambient zone state. These ambient zone states control the audio settings for certain locations. All I had to do was find the name that was used by the VIP lounge. And after finding a decompiled hash dump of ambient zone states online, I searched for VIP and found an ambient zone state called IZ_xs_arena_VIP_VIP_room. It's a mouthful, right? And with it, I passed its name as the first argument of the set ambient zone state native function. And now, it's disabled. Great. Now that it's dealt with, I can finally hear the sweet sound of gunfire. And I could start working on the next part of the restaurant interior, as the next part is enemies. Just like in the laundromat interiors, I've added a back area, but this time in the form of an office. I've also randomized the loot, so you can find either cash, weed, or coke. And that would be it for the restaurants. In total, I've added 15 of them. It's a little bit more than the other ones. Gyms.
In GTA San Andreas,
You could actually go to one of the many gyms around the map and build up your muscle, making CJ not only more stronger, but visually buff as well. Well, it's finally time to start looks maxing in GTA 5. But I regret to inform you, there's no gym interior in GTA 5, so I had to make my own. Again, you can also find the gym goers here as well. And in the back, you've got some barbells that you can pick right up. And soon, you too can become the very next Schwarzenegger. In all seriousness, this minigame is only for show, because I'm not really into adding muscle building mechanics. And I know that you chads are already too busy calculating your own protein intake.
Connection terminated.
Nightclubs. This entry is a little bit more interesting because it's actually restoring a piece of content that was scrapped from GTA 5. And out of all the scrapped content, it's actually the most well known. Pama Mamas. Bahama Mamas is a club present in GT5, but only from the outside. However, it does have an interior that is loaded at all times. You can do a glitch to get inside, and you can take a look around. As a matter of fact, the interior is nearly done too. Well, in my mod, I've added Nightclubs, and I'm simply reusing the Bahama Mamas interior. Inside, I've put some people around dancing, sitting on sofas, and just like in bars, you can drink. I didn't really need to do too much for this interior, since all I'm doing is reusing an interior, and that's Nightclubs covered. In total, that's another 6. And that finally brings us to the final and probably the most biggest entry. As a matter of fact, I've decided to make this entry a completely separate mod because of what it adds. Houses and apartments. If you hop on over to GTA Online, you'll be able to own a vast array of different homes and apartments. These homes range from low-end, medium, and high-end. So, I'm adding them to story mode. My mod will let you enter plenty of small apartments, homes, motels, middle-class homes, and apartments, and high-class homes and mansions, the latter of which is mainly located in Vinewood. At each one of these safe houses, you can sit down on the sofas with properly implemented animations for your immersion, and a minigame where you can change your seating stance too, in case you have nothing better to do with your life. And if taking showers is something better to do, then you can always take them in-game instead. And instead of sleeping in real life, you can now sleep in the video game too. You can also choose when you want to wake up. And not only that, but you can also drink some booze at safe houses as well, in addition to using this computer. And something else that you couldn't have actually done in GTA Online. Have you ever noticed that you couldn't actually access your backyard from your house, even though there's a door clearly there? Well, now you can. Finally, I can go for a swim, or grill something. This whole entire entry was technically 3 interiors, since there's the low-end, medium, and high-end safe houses, but I've decided to clump it into one entry. And do you want to know how many safe houses were added in total? 66 low-end safe houses, 65 mid-range safe houses, and 64 high-end safe houses. And for every single interior mentioned in this video, I've programmed a blip to spawn at its coordinates. So, let's go see how the map looks. Absolutely crazy, man. So many blips have spawned that the names don't even work properly anymore. In total, we've got about 280 interiors, 85 if we're not counting the safe houses, which is more than GTA San Andreas in 4, I think. And that brings us to the end of the video. Everything you saw was an absolute hell to make, so make sure to make me happy and give this video a like and also subscribe or something like that. And drop a comment saying I love you. Maybe more people will see the video that way, and I need more people to see all this crazy stuff. But either way, I've successfully made GTA 5 a little bit more lively and more interactable. But anyways, that's it from me. But I will not let it be consigned to oblivion that I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Damn.
Subscribe.
Connection terminated.